I just saw a disturbing video of a woman in her therapy session, so I thought I would take this opportunity to educate you all on what are some things that should never ever happen between therapist and client. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I have been I've been counseling women and men who have been victims and perpetrators of abuse for many years. I've worked in corrections, and so, in this particular video, the one that I saw of the woman, and I know a lot of people keep asking me to analyze the other one who believed her psychiatrist was in love with her. I haven't looked at that. I don't know that I will, just as an aside, because it seems to have so many drawn out parts. But anyhow, on this video, this woman was meeting with her therapist, and he kept asking her about her tattoos and how many she had and what were the placements of them, piercings, what were the placements of those. And he also kept referring to her as a good girl whenever she answered his questions. As someone who's a therapist and has been practicing for several years, and, I have several colleagues and peers who consult with me about ethical behavior, I'm here to tell you that that behavior is completely unethical. So my training is this. You don't usually refer first of all, you don't usually call a client outside of their name. In private practice, it's a little bit more lenient. So, people can be, I always ask people at the beginning, what would you like for me to call you? And then they give me a name. Usually it's a formal name. It's not, I don't ever do nicknames. And when I worked in corrections, I never ever did nicknames. It was always Mr. or Miss, and then the last name. And reason being is because, you can get sued for calling a client anything outside of their name. It's also just a sign of respect. I think the other thing too is, when you say things like good girl or good boy, that there could be all types of connotations derived from that. In this context, it's still highly inappropriate. It could be a sexual innuendo. It could be, viewed as being condescending. It also demonstrates the power dynamic between therapists and clients. So, always err on the side of, referencing a patient or client, however you refer to it, by their name as much as possible. I think just to kind of go back to her video, whenever you're asking about tattoos and piercings, it needs to be in a professional context. Again, the way that it was done in this video was very inappropriate. It seemed to suggest that he was wanting to know more about maybe privately where her tattoos were located and what her tattoos were of. I think he had even asked her, does she have one of him? Again, it's highly inappropriate. And the reason, so I may ask about things like that because, when I'm asking about things like that in my practice, or when I have asked about it, it's usually, about, things related to self-harm or just how long this has been going on, and just to sort of gather information about the client. There isn't usually a like, ooh, where is it? It isn't like that. It may be like, oh, what'd you get? Those kinds of things. When I worked in corrections, it might have been a different story, because in corrections, people are not supposed to get piercings. So whenever I see someone showing up with an earring, oh, what's that about? You're not supposed to have that. Or when they show up with a sparkly new tattoo, And I'm like, oh, how did that happen? And sometimes they would show up with one like, pow, right in the middle of their face, so you couldn't miss it. And so, oh, okay, what's going on? Well, who's got tattooing equipment and that kind of stuff. So that's a little bit of a different, there's a little bit of different types of questioning, but even then it's still pretty respectful. But with one group in private practice, again, it's usually more self-harm or maybe just curiosity about, okay, what does a tattoo mean for you, that kind of stuff. But versus in prison, there could be more of a punitive, because they're not supposed to be doing either or in prison, and inmates know that, But at the same time, I get it. I get what people are doing. The other thing too, again, is it's self-harm assessment for me. So I think, I just kind of, there's professional therapy never includes sex. I've done a post about that already. That is, you could literally go to any board in your state. I know in California Board of Behavioral Sciences, Board of Psychology, you can go straight to the board's office and they have a pamphlet that says that professional therapy never includes sex. It's also usually a disclaimer on the website, and you can usually click on it and it gives patients information on what to do if that's happened. I'm not sure about the medical boards and things like that, but I know that I could speak directly to ours. But if there's ever a chance, if there's ever a time when you're feeling afraid and you feel like your therapist has crossed the line sexually, and it does happen. Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you it does happen quite a bit. I'm here to tell you the first thing I would recommend doing is, discontinuing immediately. Don't go back if you're uncomfortable. If something inappropriate has happened, such as sexual inappropriateness, my first recommendation for your safety is to always report it. I suggest reporting it to the police. In addition to, you can do a board complaint. I think in most cases you can call or even report it online for the board. I would not recommend doing that with the police, and I don't know if you can report those kind of things online with the police. So always be sure to do that. Let someone know that you are close with and that you trust and who is objective, that like, hey, this thing happened. What do you think? So try to have a support person with you. But yeah, definitely document. In this woman's case, she had video proof. So I think she has more than enough, to kind of take that to make a complaint, and do that. The boards, what the board does is they are there to protect you guys' safety. So the board is there to protect the consumer's safety. So your safety is always going to be their first priority. So I would always encourage people to do that. Plus, whenever you see a therapist, you should be given the board's information. But if not, you Google it. Because in my disclosure paperwork, it always has the board's contact information and where to go if they want to file a grievance and blah, blah, blah. And as well as what would happen if they were to do that. Like your records are usually turned over because they want that and all that kind of stuff. But it's usually just a formality to let people know that. But, always protect your safety first. And I know that TikTok is like a platform where you can get like a lot of social engagement. And I see a lot of concerning people up here for young people. And I understand the allure and the attraction to social media for that. But always remember your safety is first. So do what you got to do to protect yourself physically as well as your mental health. This is serious stuff. And unfortunately, I hate to be the one to say it, there's predators everywhere. And unfortunately, that even includes in my profession. So do what you got to do to protect yourself. And my apologies to anyone that's happened to. I know that it can cause you to lose a lot of faith and trust in the system that's designed to be empathetic and provide care. Thanks for watching. Like, follow, and share if this has been helpful.